introduce these players, we have to the top right-hand side of the map, the red Terran player. Let's give it up for Dayshi. And he's going to be going up against the blue Terran player to the bottom left-hand side of the map. Let's hear it if you're cheering on DeMuslim. Their builds are pretty mirrored, even though DeMuslim is talking about the little bug which has come up with the new patch, which is where you load in and you're actually locked out of the game for 2 seconds or so. So the merc workers are already at minerals and mining before you can make your first SCV. So it's a little bit weird. So it's kind of obviously a very minor difference, but it can, little things in StarCraft can add up to much larger things. So hopefully it's not going to be too much of an issue today. I mean, we can see here that the workers are building at the same time. So I actually think either Dayshi has the issue as well, or it just wasn't an impact, it wasn't impactful here in this game. So anyway, let's see what's going to happen. It is single elimination, guys. We are not double elim bracket today. It's single elim. That means if you lose, you are out. Now, you are able to try and qualify through the other qualifiers, of course, but you do have to play on the other servers. So obviously, if you lose as a European, your best bet is probably to go to the American server qualifiers rather than the Korean server qualifiers, which is going to be very difficult with the ping and the time zone you have to play in. Outside of that as well, of course, if you don't make it through the qualifiers, you can go to IEM Katowice in and out of itself. You can attend that event and you can go and join the open bracket. I imagine the majority of people who are very serious about it will get a spot in the 64-player open bracket. 64-player open bracket brings it down to, I believe, 12 players who join the 12 qualified players for the round of 24. So obviously qualifying is still a big benefit because you get through automatically seeded into the round of 24, and that is already well into the prize pool and so much more than that as well. So I think it's already $1,000 if you make it to the round of 24. So qualifying is a big help because it means you've already got $1,000. If I'm not mistaken as well, it means your flights and hotels will also be paid for IEM Katowice. As far as I understand it anyways. So I'm going to see here in the early stages of this TvT though, I'm just going to see Reapers kind of throwing some grenades down on each other to begin with. Nothing too crazy about that. You're going to see a Cyclone on the way up here from DeMuslim. He's opted for an early second gas and to go for a bit of a pressure build. Whereas Dayshi, he's going to be looking to be defensive for the early stages with this expansion. He is going to get a Cyclone out. That will help a lot with his defensive needs. I'm just going to be seeing the second Reaper for DeMuslim just joining up here on the left-hand watchtower for the moment. So the second Reaper comes along. This one Reaper going to sit to the right-hand side as well. And you're seeing this orbital is just starting to morph in from Dayshi down on the low ground. So orbital starting to morph in on the low ground. Now obviously Dayshi's starport is going to be very late here in comparison to DeMuslim. And DeMuslim isn't really pressuring just yet either. He's going to be a bit more reliant on the Banshee to get some damage done, rather than his initial little bit of Reaper Cyclone, which he's built into so far. So he's going to be looking towards the Banshee to get some worker kills, as we see one Reaper of Dayshi advancing forwards. DeMuslim pulls back at a pretty awkward time, where he's actually going to let this Reaper get up into the main base. He actually allows it to see the cloak, and it's a good scout from Dayshi to know what he's playing against. He can put down an engineering bay in preparation now, and he can start getting those turrets in place to make sure he minimizes the damage he takes from the initial Banshee. And obviously the less damage he takes from this Banshee, the better of a position he's going to be in, because you can see how late DeMuslim's command center is. Just starting to build right now on the natural expansion, whereas Dayshi is already dropping meals out of his second CC. So for DeMuslim, he needs this Banshee to do damage, as he goes into a Raven follow-up as well. I mean, this is a cookie-cutter build, honestly, from DeMuslim. It is the go-to in TvT as of late. This has been the standard for the past month or so. I mean, I say the standard. This was much more popular actually when the patch first hit, but actually since the patch we've sort of seen a few more expansion-based builds as people figure out how to defend this. But this is still very standard, looking to apply pressure, get some damage done. Turret up and a Cyclone here though, and for now he will just have to back away a little bit to the right-hand side. Comes back in, we'll just pick off one SCV here on the edge of this mineral line. Cyclone locks on, Clanky. Banshee cloaks, and we are going to see some Marines pushing forwards. Maybe a scan, he does have one available. I mean, has to make sure it's worthwhile, Is he actually going to kill this Banshee if he scans? Well, I don't think he is. It was a very far forward scan. He had a good chance of killing the Banshee, but it does get out of range, even of this Viking here. And then he just loops around in towards the main. Has to be careful, there is a missile turret nearby. Another scan, this time the Banshee will go down. But hey, he forced 2 scans, which is nice. He got some good damage onto the Cyclone, or at least forced it to be repaired here. Obviously, no second Banshee as a follow-up. He built this Raven instead, and that may allow him to come forwards and bust, but we actually see a Raven popping out from Dayshi as well, which now allows him to drop some auto turrets That should have put him pretty safe here when it comes to trying to defend against this initial push in from DeMuslim. Cyclone is indeed being repaired. Starport going to swap to the reactor, and some more Vikings going to start coming on out. DeMuslim down by 6 workers. And as we did talk about his much later command center here, he hasn't really found the damage he needs to make up for that later command center, not just yet at least. One would have mind will burrow over on the third base. DeMuslim again being fairly passive down here, isn't really doing too much. He might look to maybe take a third expansion of his own on location a little bit faster just because he does have map control. Yeah, I mean, he's bringing everything across the map, like he's got his tank here and all sorts. You see the Cyclone going to take some damage. In fact, Cyclone will just get taken down on the right-hand side, so Cyclone getting shot down already. And still a few Marines just covered here from Dayshi. I mean, again, there's not really a lot for DeMuslim to push forwards with. He has 3 Vikings now. I guess the one way you could break this is if he puts a couple of order turrets down. Could be a nice way to kind of soak up the first tank shots and start breaking on through. Reaper's actually going to take the first tank shot here right now. Here we go. Order turrets will start to drop. The order turrets from Dayshi will come in as he drops them down as well. Vikings will now land on the ground. He continues to bust through the siege tank line. There's another tank here which he also gets rid of, but not before the Vikings get blown up. And DeMuslim's attack in is unfortunately not quite going to work out for him. As those Vikings picking off one last Marine, just the right-hand side. This SCV will come down and take a third base, but there is a Widow Mine here. And the SCV will get blown up if he tries to build a third CC in position. So DeMuslim will be able to deny the third base for a little bit longer as he goes up to his 4th and 5th barracks, as does Dayshi. So both players going into the 4th and 5th racks before 3rd command center. Daishi's just had a little bit more economy throughout the game though, and that means he's able to afford a third base while also affording his command center, whereas DeMuslim is maybe not quite in that same position. Widow Mine actually unburrows and stays alive. As we see a little bit of a drop in towards the main. Viking here to start pushing this away. Tank will siege up. A lot of Marines coming forwards though. I mean, the medevac's going to get taken down. Doesn't even get that Viking kill unless he targets it, which he does actually. And he's able to pick that off as Tank getting a little bit more damage done here. And that will be about it. 3 SCVs killed, but it was distracting. Now, this SCV is actually chasing down this Widow Mine. DeMuslim probably didn't realize that this was left alive, because obviously it's a bit of a weird situation for the Widow Mine to be left alive there. As you see, the SCV does indeed pick up that kill. Dayshi scans, going to see a couple of Marines. That's Tank and the medevac. I'm just going to be spotting that as it's going to be moving down to the low ground here. A few more Marines gathering up together. And more Marines just continuing to pour on out here. Combat Shields is on the way up, and yeah, 3rd command center coming down for both players as well. Let's see a few Vikings of Dayshi just over to the left. And they're looking around to see what they can get up to. Not really too much though, honestly, as we're going to see these Marines starting to load up into this medevac. And Dayshi going to start heading out onto the map. This is medevac going to be loading up, going all the way to the left as we see this single Marine here from DeMuslim also coming down to the south. You see a few of these Marines just starting to drop off, and SCVs going to start going down. So I mean, DeMuslim, who's already kind of a little bit behind in this game, so Dayshi doing damage is obviously really nice for him, because it just puts him even further ahead as DeMuslim choked up on his own little base, on his own mineral patches here. Finally getting rid of these Marines, but actually even still at the end, it's a little bit of a struggle. He just manages to clean this up. And there's a very good trade from Dayshi, not only taking down 5 workers, but also taking down a decent amount of Marines as well. I mean, he definitely killed off more Marines than he lost, so that was a nice little trade as +1 attack from both players is finished. Dayshi a little bit faster on the +1 armor as well, so again, little things starting to add up here for our Red Terran as we see these 2 medevacs going to start pushing out into the center of the map. Single Viking here will spot these, and well, here's DeMuslim who's looking to get some damage done. And I mean, if you can shut down these first 2 medevacs, that could be quite nice, but now they're actually just going to get around the army and continue heading towards the main. Siege tank here is able to siege, but needs to start moving into position shortly. Otherwise, he's going to be in a little bit of trouble as we see Marines will move on forwards, and yeah, with the tank here, he should actually have enough to defend against this, I think. Although, nice little split up from Dayshi. Yeah, he still has enough to defend this. The tank's pretty good, really. We're going to see a big drop in towards the main. Well, a couple of turrets here are actually making life difficult. They're picking off these medevacs very quickly. As you see, the Marines obviously doing a lot, but now the tank's starting to go down. Every single medevac getting shot down. 20 workers killed, though. I mean, DeMuslim's cleaned out a lot of his opponent's economy. Despite losing all of these units, he's actually killed quite a lot. He's going to be down on army supply for a while, but 20 workers going down is no kind of joke. Dayshi didn't actually have the double turret here. He probably would have lost even more, because those medevacs would have stayed alive. The Marines would have been around for a bit longer. And that could have been pretty crazy. You're going to see Vikings do meet each other in the middle of the map. Some Marines to support here. DeMuslim keeps his alive. Don't think he realizes just yet that this is actually happening, though. Now he starts to pull back, pull away, as he is going to lose his final Viking of the game. DeMuslim has some Marines, like, he's kind of all over the place, but I think the problem is he only has 2 siege tanks, so he isn't really able to hold a solid position like Dayshi's going to be able to here. I mean, if he was able to hold this counterattack, he'd be in a great position, but he's also down an armor upgrade, which is going to make his life so difficult. Dayshi's scanning ahead, so he knows where those Marines are. He knows when to siege his tanks well, you know, in plenty of time. And we've seen these Marines steering forwards, and, well, you see this Orbital Command taking quite a lot of damage, actually, already down to half health. All the turrets dropping as well to try and help out. Some SCVs will get pulled in to start repairing this. And this is the problem for DeMuslim. How does he fight into this position? Well, he's going to go as a lot of the tanks are in siege, but he still doesn't think it's a good idea as he backs away. These Marines keep pushing forwards from Dayshi, though, so he loses a little bit more as these tanks. And now they're sieged up in range of the SCVs as well. The Orbital will have to lift, and well, DeMuslim is losing his third base position now as Dayshi continues to push into this location. A Viking will get taken down. Free Drone Evac's going to load up, and it's going to be another drop from Dayshi to try and get some more damage done. DeMuslim, I mean, what do you do? I mean, maybe coming in from a couple of angles, try and flank around the back or something. You can see DeMuslim's tanks on siege, and he sieges up later than his opponent too. Very stacked for the first wave of tank fire. And DeMuslim loses a lot of Marines in the start of this engagement, which is not going to be pretty, because now as Dayshi still maintains a position on this side, while also dropping into the main base with so many of these units. GG. And Dayshi is going to take game number 1 of this best of 3 in the first round. Let's jump into this and see what is going to happen. We have down to the bottom side of the map the blue Terran player who is going to be starting up in game number 2, being 1 game ahead, is going to be Dayshi. And to the top side of the map, our red Terran player down a game. Let's see if he can bounce back with what's going to be a little bit of a proxy to kick us off on Varney Research Station. It is DeMuslim. I say a little bit of a proxy. These first SCVs are already heading down over to the bottom left-hand side of the map. So first barracks starting to build, and the second barracks going to be coming along here soon to start building as well. So the second barracks is going to start setting on up. And, well, we do see a gas as well. I mean, this isn't really kind of proxy marauder territory, I don't think. I mean, you look at this, and the racks are pretty far away. If you want to be building proxy marauders, you need to take the risk and build it as close as possible to get those marauders there soon. So, probably just going to be seeing the proxy reapers then, and DeMuslim setting up into this. Let's see what he can get done. Let's see if it's going to be enough to tie up this series 1 apiece. This time, Dayshi not looking for a faster expansion, though, which means he's already taken a little bit of a build order advantage over his opponent. The double gas-based play for Cyclone coming out early is exactly what you're looking towards as a perfect sort of defense against this. It used to be Reaper Hellion, but nowadays the Cyclone is just so good that Reaper Cyclone is really kind of the way to go. You need perfect grenades to fight against the Cyclone of Reapers, because that Cyclone just does so much damage. Let's see what will happen here as we see. It is actually going to be Proxy Marauder. Okay, well, that actually catches me completely off guard. I wonder if that's kind of... I wonder if he bases that off of the kind of scouting of the SCV. I wonder. This is kind of... Oh, this is interesting. I didn't think it was Proxy Marauder because it is quite far away. I mean, even for... You know, I know it's a proxy, but, you know, Proxy Marauder is one of these things where you feel as though you need to be built as close as possible. Not just for the initial setup, but also because you want to generally lift a Rax and use that Rax for high ground vision. And in these positions, it'll take a little bit longer for that Rax to float into locations. So... kind of interesting as Dayshi. Well, he hasn't scouted at all, so he doesn't know what's going on just yet. He does build a Cyclone nonetheless, and there's a starport coming down. As we mentioned, as we mentioned, kind of, for Dayshi, this is a pretty kind of standard open. And we mentioned this in the last game. It's pretty safe as well. It's probably one of the best opens he could have against this build order. He's going to come up this ramp, and he's going to lose a Reaper already. It's a little bit of a shame. Obviously, the full wall off is going to help quite a bit, and there's the Cyclone too, which is, again, definitely going to help, but it can't be targeted down by Marauders. Problem is, Cyclone, again, just does so much damage. Coming back up this round, he's actually going to get this Cyclone kill, I think. Nice grenade. Does he get the last shot? No, he doesn't. Cyclone pulls back on very low health. That's so nice, because now it means it can be repaired, and it's going to be taking, DeMuslim the same amount of shots to get through it once again, rather than already having it on very low health, where it's so close to being sniped on down. Marauder actually pops out from Dayshi, also investing into concussive shells. An interesting way to defend this, but he is picking off some Marauders. Again, the Cyclone being the real MVP of this defense at this point. Now for second Cyclone up, Well, what does DeMuslim look towards? He's adding on a factory of his own, probably wants to go in towards his own cyclones, but he's getting completely shut down. These two Marauders get taken down instantly. And that's just going to be these couple of SCVs still just preparing up these cyclones right here. I mean, the thing is, again, the cyclones, they do just do so much damage, and it's kind of crazy. Like, they do so much damage, you can get them out so early in the game as well. It's kind of, I honestly do feel the cyclone's a bit ridiculous right now. We actually talked about the cyclone natural expansion last night because of its effect on TvP, and it is just this unit which is just an absolute beast in the early game. You can get it out quickly. It's obviously kind of expensive, but man, does it, you know, pay off. I mean, look at the damage it does. Its DPS is insane. Just starts firing away at these units. Picks off one more Marauder here. And he does lose his second Cyclone, so now he's kind of not got very many units for a moment or two, but he's got a Liberator. And so with a Liberator, these Marauders can never really get into the base. And DeMuslim sort of knows that. Nice hold position right on the edge of this. Actually going to allow him to still pick off this supply depot. Really nice hold position, actually, honestly, by DeMuslim. As it's going to be just giving him a little bit more, something that we might not have expected him to get at this point. SCVs will come into repair. I guess the tank coming up here now as well might be enough to actually just turn this away. And it will indeed be enough to push that back. So the tank here now, you can maybe send his Liberator across the map, look for further damage. DeMuslim has a Cyclone up at home. We're going to leave it here for now. Looks as though he just wants to make sure he is safe against whatever might come across as he looks to build a CC. So DeMuslim will be the first to expand. The problem is he's down on workers. And it is Dayshi with kind of all of the units where he's going to be able to get further damage done. You know, you think about the army supplies on the map. Well, DeMuslim has 4 Marauders, which are not really going to add much to this equation. Whereas Dayshi has, well, a tank to defend. He's got a Viking, which is useful. He's got a Liberator up. That's going to be very annoying to deal with, even with a Cyclone. Like, a Cyclone's anti-air. It's pretty crap nowadays, so Liberator can probably just siege up on this mineral line anyways. Then just back away. I mean, he's got dead air to play with up here. So you can back away, get unlocked, and then probably just come in and siege up anyways. Like, it's crazy how much damage this, or how little damage this Cyclone does to the air units nowadays. One SCV goes down, picks off a Marauder too, and he'll even unsiege and re-siege on top of the Cyclone still. Cyclone moves over to the other side. Ooh, just get caught by a shot. He'll take down 2 more SCVs. Cyclone finally getting rid of the Liberator. You know what I mean though, like, it takes so much damage, so many shots from the Cyclone to get rid of a Liberator up in the skies. It's kind of crazy. It's what we discussed last night. What if they kind of buffed the Cyclone's anti-air a little bit once again and nerfed it a little bit against ground and made it more of an all-around unit rather than the meme machine in the early stages of the game? Because it is crazy, like, how good this Cyclone is early on. It's ridiculous how much it can get done. It really is. Anyways, 2 more barracks building up here from Dayshi. So he's setting up into a couple more racks. Starport going to land on a reactor. In fact, you're building a reactor too. I mean, Dayshi's follow-up here looking very standard. The factory can move on over to this tech lab. And then you can either kind of keep this starport on a reactor, or you can build another reactor for one of the racks. Either way, it's all looking to be very simple here for Dayshi at this point. Still in a worker lead as well. Yeah, but I think DeMuslim, yeah, he still has like a little bit of a army supply advantage, but I still say, you know, what are these 4 Marauders going to do? Well, they're not going to be anywhere near as useful as the army supply which Dayshi has. It's so true. Like, 4 Marauders, a Marine against this, you know, even just the second tank is such a huge advantage compared to Marauders, especially because they're going stim. They're playing bio. They're playing Marine tank against Marine tank, and it's called Marine tank against Marine tank instead of bio tank for a reason. And that reason is that in TvT, Marauders really have no role in Marine tank. You know, in other matchups, they can do a very good job tanking, and you need some Marauders mixed in, especially, say, TvZ to tank banelings, to slow stuff down. Well, the concussive shells isn't going to have any effect on an army, and TvT Marine tank engagements are all about how quickly you break through the Marine line to get to the siege tanks, and the DPS loss of making a Marauder rather than 2 Marines just doesn't make the tanking of the Marauder worth it, because they just die so quickly anyways in this regard. It doesn't really soak up any damage. I mean, you'll soak up a bit more damage, but again, it's the damage loss, and it just means your army isn't as good. So, never really need Marauders in TvT unless you're playing against mech. So again, I mean, it's only 4 of them, and obviously as the game goes on, they're not going to be as big a chunk of the army, but as it stands right now, it's not like DeMuslim can come back in the game with a, it's not like DeMuslim can come back into the game with some kind of attack because he's ahead of an army supply, because he, that's just not the, situation we're in right now. He doesn't have useful units to attack with, so that's what that's the point of us taking a very long-winded route of explaining, basically. A couple of SCVs will come in and repair this Raven. We saw a cute little fight as DeMuslim does shut down the Raven of Dayshi. That's a nice small victory, and actually DeMuslim will have air control on his side, investing into more Vikings, whereas Dayshi will just build up more medevacs. And air control can be a pretty disastrous thing to lose control of, honestly, in the TvT. We look at this as, we look at the matchup, and it's it's one of these matchups. It's one of these things where it's going to be kind of super crazy to see. It's one of these matchups where kind of the super crazy things happen because of air control. Vikings are very good at shutting down medevacs, and because of that, they can take a bit more kind of vision for the siege tanks and so on. And there's just so much you can get up to. As we're going to have the double tech labs to the left side of the map here from DeMuslim. And here we go, Marines, Marauders, couple of tanks. Moving on to the map, picking off one Marine already. Vikings sat to the right-hand side from DeMuslim as well. Just stopping any drops from coming in. However, drops just going to lift up, go straight towards the main. However, units are here. And those medevacs are going to have to boost away. But here come the Vikings. Marines are going to start unloading. No, DeMuslim revealing them just a little bit too soon, as order turret's going to come down. Oh, well, actually, it will fight against these Marines and push them back. One medevac will fall as well. It wasn't so bad from DeMuslim, picking off a medevac, a good amount of Marines. I was a little bit skeptical, honestly, of these order turrets, but they worked out nicely. And DeMuslim now, he's going to be trailing on upgrades once again. I mean, he's down on the +1 by about a minute or more. He's going to have his combat shields finishing up, so that will even out, obviously. It doesn't have an effect on a sequential upgrade or anything. As you're going to be seeing these couple of medevacs going to go up the right-hand side. A couple of medevacs going to go up the right-hand side here. Dayshi going to be looking to unload into the natural very shortly as DeMuslim continues to come down the right, pushing on in to see what he can do. Can he set up a position here? Well, Dayshi's very much so focused towards the front of his main. He isn't really thinking necessarily so much about the right-hand side, as this siege tank is having a little bit of a party of its own. He actually spots the army. You see a big drop across the map, though. 16, 20 workers going down. Oh my god, 20 workers going down. Kind of crazy as we see. And these Marines going to continue fighting. DeMuslim does siege up over in this location. But I mean, losing 24 workers, he has to get damage done really, really quickly here. He's got to get something done soon. Again, that air control is going to be very annoying for him, for Dayshi to fight against. But now he's losing his Vikings. Marines will just suicide in, because it's kind of worthwhile. You get rid of these Vikings, and now he doesn't have air control. He doesn't have the high ground vision, and this position becomes way, way less annoying. As we see now, Dayshi picking off the natural CC. That will just be DeMuslim having to type out of this game. He just is not going to have enough. He's not going to have a way to make anything happen down there. GG's. Dayshi takes game number 2 and is going to win this series.